Awesome. There we are. Welcome to Unity of Charlotte. Good afternoon, everyone. We're so happy to have you here in the sanctuary or joining us in on Zoom. If you did join in early enough, you just were graced with the musical talent of Kaylin Tan, who is our musical performer today, our guest. And we're delighted to have her. She is a pianist at Grace One Church. She's been there for almost 15 years, and we were lucky enough to get her here as a guest today. So thank you, Kaylin. You will be hearing more from her. Just realized I needed something up here with me. We'll be hearing more from her shortly. So today we're going to start a little different because I'd like to open with a worldwide prayer for all. This was sent to me, Nancy. Don't see Nancy here. She may be out of town. She sent me this link because at 12 noon right now, Eastern time, is 7 p.m. in Jerusalem. This organization, it's called I can't read that, peaceactivation.org, is holding a global prayer for peace for all of our world. And I thought, what a beautiful way to start our own service at the time that they're starting this global prayer. So if you would please join me in a prayer for peace as we join our brothers and sisters around the world. We take a deep breath in, a deep centering breath as we gently close our eyes, turn within, and remember the power and presence of God that lives in us, expresses as us, and in each and every living being. As I feel this presence, I let my heart flower in compassion, so I may meet others in mercy and bless them as I see their divine identity. I let the divine light so shine in me that I may be a beacon of hope, peace, love, and compassion for all of humanity. May I walk in peace for all. Together in this prayer, we hold the world and all of beings in the light of peace and love. We choose compassion, we choose encouragement, and we choose kindness. For we are one with the spirit of peace and love. Every woman is my sister, every man my brother. We are one in God. And in a state of oneness, I imagine the world embracing, connecting, communicating, and finding life as it was meant to be together in peace. We take just a moment to lift every nation, every person into the light of the divine presence that is. In the power and presence of that Christ within, we claim so it is, so let it be. Namaste. Thank you. We'll continue to hold that energy of peace throughout this hour as they're having this global event. Now, I'd like to have you join us in the mission statement of Unity of Charlotte. Please join with me as we read our mission. Unity of Charlotte is the place where we nurture a deep and mature experience of God through the practice of unity principles. Simply put, we are here to love, grow, and serve. There is one presence and one power in my life and the universe. God, the good, omnipotence. We claim and affirm this presence in our lives as love. Now let's take a moment to speak the name of anyone you would like to lift in prayer, a name, a situation, whatever is on your heart that you want to open in prayer in this sacred space to turn over to Spirit. I open that space up now. And so it is. I'd like to invite up Jenny and Margarita, who will be reading our daily word.
Good afternoon. Faith. Faith heals, prospers, blesses, and sustains me. Sometimes I wish I had a way of looking into the future and knowing what to expect. But even though I cannot know how the future might unfold, I can still be prepared for it through the power of my faith. Having faith means I have unwavering fidelity to spiritual truth. My faith is my anchor, keeping me steady during shifting worldly circumstances and focus not on the things of the world, but on the power of Spirit. My faith keeps me steadfast in the midst of uncertainty, inventive when met with stagnation, and adaptable when faced with changing circumstances. I turn my attention to God and feel my soul illumined by my belief that everything is working for good. I align with the truth and go forth, blessed by my faith. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7.
La fe cura, prospera, bendice y me sostiene. A veces me gustaría poder ver el futuro y saber qué esperar. Sin embargo, aunque no pueda predecir cómo se desarrollará el futuro, puedo estar preparado por el poder de mi fe. Tener fe significa tener un compromiso inquebrantable a la verdad espiritual. Mi fe es mi ancla. Me mantiene firme frente a las circunstancias externas cambiantes y me centra en el poder del Espíritu más que en las cosas del mundo. Mi fe me mantiene seguro en medio de la incertidumbre, creativo ante la inacción y flexible ante las circunstancias cambiantes. Me dirijo a Dios y siento en mi alma iluminada por la convicción de que todo sucede para bien. Me alineo con esta verdad y sigo adelante, bendecido por mi fe, porque vivimos por la fe y no por la vista. Segunda carta a los Corintios 5-7.
Yeah, you can just set it down. Thanks. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Margarita. And this reminds me about the Christmas shop. They are looking for bilingual, Spanish-speaking shoppers to work with some of the families and to register. So if you have the time and the inclination, please let us know. All right, and it's my pleasure now to introduce you once again to Kaylin Tan, who is going to play for us an instrumental called Give Thanks.
Thank you so much, Caitlin. We appreciate you so much, your talent. You bless us, so thank you. You bless us. Of course, my name is Reverend Jim, and we are continuing our information, our talks today as well on the 12 powers, So today, let me remind you that the 12 powers, 1930s, Charles Fillmore brought this concept together, these 12 faculties, these 12 attributes of our divinity. He named them, used English words to try and describe something that can't be described, but let's try anyway. Faith, love, strength, wisdom, imagination, understanding, will, release, life, power, zeal, and order. Those 12 things come together as that 12 powers that we are studying. Now, we're not going to get through all of those. Reverend Lisa spoke to some of those last week as well, but we are touching on those. We're going to talk about 3 different things today. We're going to talk about 2 of the powers, but we're going to talk about zeal, and we're going to talk about order, and then we're going to bring those 2 together and see how they interact with each other. So zeal and order together. But let's do a little background before we dive into the powers themselves, into those. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about tying those together in a couple of different concepts that Unity uses. So we're talking about the 12 powers. That's a very popular topic within Unity. But we also have our 5 basic Unity principles. So those come together in this, actually. This comes together. We're talking about the 12 powers and the 5 basic Unity principles. So let's review those really quick. We're not going to do the full-on, let's do the Cliff Notes version of it. So in fact, our statement, our initial prayer is the basic Unity principle 1, and that is God is. What's the next one? God is and we are, or I am. So God is, I am. Any guess on the third? I think. Fourth one? I pray. And then the last one is I do. So God is, I am, I think, I pray, and I do. That's the Cliff Notes version. There will be a test afterwards. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. So those are the 5 basic Unity principles. That second one, we want to focus a little, just for a moment, on that second principle that talks about God is and I am. I am, as we learn from the Old Testament, we were created in the image and the likeness of God. What does that mean? I was created in the image and likeness. Does it mean that I was born an old man with a gray beard? It's not that type of image, right? It's not that image. We were born with the attributes. We were born with the goodness. We were born with the divinity that is our Creator, that is God. In whatever way you want to call that, call God. I use divine spirit as when I think of and talk about God. You can say the universe. We were created in the image of the universe, of divine spirit, of God, whatever you want to say. These 12 faculties, these 12 powers, these 12 attributes rolled into one is that divinity. We've just given them 12 English words that rounded that concept out. So we're taking a slice of that divinity here today and talking about zeal and talking about order. Zeal and order. And when we think about, or when we talk about the Christian scriptures, when we talk about the New Testament, we talk about the stories and the teachings of Jesus, I would argue that everything that Jesus taught through these scriptures, through these gospels, through these books in the Bible, each one of those lessons points to one of these attributes in some way. Wouldn't that be? We need to do a workshop. I've got an agreement with our co-minister here. Each one of the lessons in the New Testament in some way or other points to one of these 12 powers that we have, I would argue. And we can test out that theory. We can figure that out as well. But let me take a step back. Let me ask, and again, shout out, what were the different ways in which Jesus taught. There were kind of categories, different ways that Jesus taught. That parables is one way, right? Many parables, that is a teaching, what do we call it? A teaching mechanism, a teaching whatever. Style, a what? A tool. It's a teaching tool. Parable. How else? Miracles. Examples. Yes. And that's all I know. If you know of another way, let me know. What I had written down, yes, miracles, examples of what he did, parables, and then actual direct statements as well. Those were the ways that Jesus taught that were at least recorded in the Gospels. So, what is an example of? I'm sitting there working on this talk this week, and I'm trying to think, what were some of the things that Jesus did that were examples to us? And I thought, well, for us, and we just reviewed Unity's basic principle number 4, which is I pray and meditate. That was an example. He gave us the Lord's Prayer, but he also set himself aside, apart, and went into prayer on his own, didn't he? He went off into the desert and meditated for a time. These were examples that he gave us that we can do as well. So examples was one way. The other way was parables. Give me a parable. Pardon me? The lost coin. It's a good one. Prodigal son is another one. The parable of the mustard seed is another one. So those are some great examples of parables. Those are teachings that come at us from multiple layers, right? We can hear that parable and say, oh yeah, I get that one. Come back 6 months later, it's like, whoa, that's a little bit deeper. I can even figure out, there's even something more for me to take away from that. And then 5 years later, it's like, whoa, I hadn't even thought of that. So parables are a great way of teaching that can go multiple layers in terms of a metaphor in our learning. The direct statements are another way. And I'm not going to get into the miracles today, but those direct statements that we find in the New Testament. So the example that came to my mind immediately was when one of the disciples asked him, what's the greatest commandment? And Jesus said, love the Lord your God, right? Love God. Love God is the greatest. And like unto it is, love your neighbor as yourself. So, in other words, love God, love your neighbor, love yourself, right? Those are statements of what we can do in order to focus and fulfill those attributes, those faculties, those 12 powers within our life as well. So let's jump into zeal. Zeal. I love even just saying that. Zeal is the impulse to move forward with spiritual motivation. And Reverend Lisa and I have been using Linda Martella Whitsett's Divine Audacity as, find this on Amazon. It's an awesome, awesome book as well. But zeal, that impulse to move forward with spiritual motivation. Zeal is associated with some words: enthusiasm, passion, energy. It is that inner fire that gets us moving and headed in a certain direction. I sat and thought of some more colloquial, did I say that right? Colloquialism? That's a hard word for me to use. I'm going to skip right over that. Spunky, right? spunky or spunk would be something that shows up as zeal. Or simply living life in a daring way. Living your life in a daring way. And then the last one, that where the author got her title, audacity. Living your life audaciously. Audacious. I just love that word, audacious. I'm just going to sit here and say that word over and over again. Audacious. Maybe because it reminds me of, and I've got to laugh a little bit, it reminds me of growing up in Southern California. And for a while in high school, I kind of dabbled in the surf scene back there. So audacious sounds a little bit like bodacious to me. Yeah, you can laugh. That's okay. You can laugh at me. In fact, okay, I'm going to do a little aside here. What's the movie with Keanu Reeves? The Adventures of Ted. Help me out here. The Adventures of Bill and Ted's Adventure, right? And you know how they talk. Whoa, man, bodacious. Kids in the 70s actually talked that way. That's honest to God. In Southern California, it was, wow, man, bodacious. But we're talking about audacious. And that's what we are after in terms of this zeal. It is a reminder to us that a person without zeal is like, and this is one of the thoughts of Charles Fillmore, one of the co-founders of the Unity movement, that a person without zeal is like an engine without steam. Does that make sense? It's kind of like you just don't have what it takes to get that thing done. An engine without steam. That's, if you don't have zeal, if you don't have that audacity, there's just no get up and go. An overabundance, and I spoke to these two concepts 2 weeks ago. I also like to look at these powers in terms of what if you've got too much of them or too little of them? Because these 12 powers are balanced, and they balance with each other too. So not only can you have too much of one, but you can have it out of balance with another. And we're going to talk about that in terms of zeal and order. But if you think about that in its own right of zeal as overbalance, think about what would that be? Shout it out. What would an overabundance of that audacity of that zeal be? Hyperactivity. You're just bouncing off the walls, right? You're bouncing off the walls, not getting anything done, right? Because you're boom, boom, boom. That's an overabundance, and that's not good either. We want to be what the Buddhist would call balance. We want that balance in all of these powers. What's an underbalance in this? In zeal, an underbalance. Couch potato. I'll get to that tomorrow. The only Spanish word I really know, mañana, let's just, we're not going to get to that today. That's an underbalance of that vitality, of that zeal. Charles Fillmore, at age 93, he woke up one morning, went into the office, and wrote a statement, 93 years old, that talked about zeal. This isn't the exact quote because I have formulated an affirmation for myself on this. But this affirmation says, I sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm to do the things which are mine to do. Think of that. Is anybody 93 years old yet? 93, and waking up in the morning and sizzling with zeal and enthusiasm to do the things that are yours to do? I want to be there at 93. I'm not there some mornings today. But sizzle with zeal. And I just love that. Sizzle. So I wanted to share from my life when was it that zeal showed up for me in my life? And I've already shared with you that I grew up in Southern California. One of the things that we enjoyed doing as well, is I had a group of people who had a lot of zeal, a lot of friends that were audacious. We like to surf. I already mentioned that. We like to do anything that was active. One of the things in wintertime that we did, we loved to snow ski. We loved to ski, downhill skiing, right? And of course, we weren't satisfied with the slopes in Southern California because they just, nobody's heard of the Southern California slopes. So we, many times, I'm going to say at least half a dozen times in high school, we planned and we schemed because we didn't really tell our parents everything of what we were going to do, right? But we had a Volkswagen Bug, and we were going to drive to Utah to go skiing. Now, Southern California to Salt Lake City is a long way, 12 hours. 12 hours with 5 people in a Bug. The first trip we got along, the second trip we hated each other by the time we finished. But so we strap our skis on the top of the car, we jump into the car, we drive, and it's junk food all the way, right? But anyway, so that is zeal. That is zeal. We anticipated, we were looking forward to this. That Volkswagen Beetle buzzed with audacity on the way to Utah. Can you see that? Especially, high school kids. That's my example of zeal. And I'll round that story out as well when we get into in order as well. Audacious. Audacity. Second one, order. Order relates to the organization and structure of something. The organization and structure of something. And we have a little graphic. I love that because look at the order of that dandelion. That is creation in order. Look at that. Nature is organized and structured. Order is a divine quality, and it shows up in our lives too. Charles Fillmore, and I'm going to quote here, "Order is the first law of the universe. In fact, there could be no universe unless its parts were kept in perfect harmony." Charles called it the first law of the universe. Order. It shows up in organizations, those that we work with. It shows up in this body here, in this church. It shows up as an organization as well. You'll notice our service has a certain flow to it, an organization to it as well. Organization is structures and patterns and creating flow out of chaos. That's what order is. And order also, in terms of the 12 powers, also shows up as correction, as adjustment. So you have that structure, you have that series of ordered things, but when you find yourself heading in the wrong direction, when it's not feeling just right, order includes the idea of balance. You're feeling a little bit off. You come back into balance. That's the correction. That's the adjustment. That's the moving forward once again. You feel a little bit off. You correct. Maybe it's a few degrees correction. And then you start up again. That's order as well. It's an evolutionary process, this thing that we are calling order within our lives. It includes this thing called divine discontent. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because I know you felt it sometime in your life. Divine discontent. It's that feeling you get in your gut when you know, man, this ain't working for me. There's got to be something better. There's some change that I need to enact within my life. I can feel it. I may not know what it is yet, but I know that things aren't perfectly in the right direction yet. It includes divine discontent. It includes new growth. If you were content with the way things are right now in your life, there would be no growth, right? You would be a couch potato because there'd be no need to pick up another book. There'd be no need to have another conversation. Yeah, it's all good. Growth. Divine discontent. Evolution is part of that organization, that adjustment, that evolutionary process as well. Think of science. And when I think of science, I think of Fred, because Fred's going to remind me probably on Thursday of one of these scientific stories. The planets. The planets are ordered, right? They do. We can predict them. Venus showed up as a certain number of degrees off of the moon this last week. What day was it, Fred? You know. It was beautiful.
I told a whole lot of people about it too.
3 hours before sunrise, there was the moon, there was Venus. But it's predictable. It's ordered. The solar system, the stars, our galaxy, all move in predictable ways. How do you think, and I don't know when, and I'm going to, not now, but during pub theology, you tell me when Stonehenge was created. Because that's somebody else figuring it out ahead of time. Let's put these stones so that on the morning of the blah, 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 then the sun comes, or, exactly. It works. It's predictable. This is the order of the universe. And I love that. What would be an overbalance of order? Shout it out. Too much order in your life. You look like a robot. What? A rock. You're a perfectionist. You have to do certain things. I don't know. We watched a movie, and every time this guy went through a door, he had to knock on the door 3 times or something. It is an overabundant, OCD maybe even, I don't know. Monk would be too much order in his life. Compulsive. So we don't want to get there either. We don't want to get to that point. What is an underbalance of order? This is probably easier. Chaos. And chaos to me looks like inefficiency, right? You're just, again, there's no order. You do something for a few minutes, you do something else for a few minutes. You're getting nothing done. Inefficient, you're a procrastinator. Again, we keep bouncing back to that couch potato. It's inefficient. You're a procrastinator. It's mañana. ADHD, there you go. That's from our tech crew. Our tech crew tells us about ADHD. An affirmation for order that I'm going to take with me this week. My life unfolds naturally in harmony and grace. You see how this fits order? My life unfolds. My life unfolds naturally. I don't have to struggle with it. My life unfolds naturally in harmony. I feel good about it. There's peace in my heart and grace. It comes together. That is what order is. So, back to my story. We have embraced, me and my high school buddies embraced zeal in our trip in that Volkswagen Bug all the way to Salt Lake City. A little more information. We leave Friday night. We drive all the way through the night, right? 12 hours to get there. We ski all Saturday. We ski all Sunday. And then we come back home Sunday night. and we're in class Monday morning. I'm surprised I lived through those weekends. But here we are on the ski slopes on a Saturday, just enjoying ourselves. Zeal, order shows up. How does order show up for us? Here's the first few times I'm abuzz with zeal, right? We take the, what's it called? The ski lift, the chair lift up to because we don't want to mess around. So we go up to the top, the very first, right? We go up to the top and we've got so much energy, it's just like, zoom, we're going to head down, right? We don't even look over the lip of this thing. And of course, what do? We bounce our way down. We just blah, 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 blah. There was no order to this at all. Second time, we take the chair back up again. This time, still with a whole lot of zeal in our heart, at least we peek over the edge, right? It's like, oh, no wonder I bounced my way. We need to go over here a few steps. Right? That's the order that we brought to it. We enjoyed ourselves so much better because we were able to actually ski down this, and it got better and better. Order and zeal together. What a beautiful weekend. What a beautiful weekend that was. Salt Lake City. Now I have relatives in Salt Lake City, so they saw us. That was Saturday night because we crashed on their living room floor. You know, we brought our sleeping bags. So they got to see us. They got to talk to us for about 5 minutes, and then they saw us sleeping, and then we were out the door again. So it wasn't much of a visit for our relatives, but that was okay. They enjoyed having that energy and zeal in their house as well. Zeal and order. Together. Oh, you know what? I am out of time. Telling too many stories. I am out of time. Yeah, you know what? We're going to do this third piece another day. I'm going to welcome back up Kaylin 10, and we're going to do our next song. I am going to lead this song. She's going to play the piano. I am not the musical talent here. Please hear me. I am not the music. I am here to guide you in this song. So, this is You're a Blessing to the World.
You are the voice of spirit on earth. You are, and all you do is a blessing to the world. Two more times. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are, and all you do is a blessing to
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Jim. Thank you, Kaylin Tan, for that beautiful accompaniment. What a joy it is to have some live piano music. Thank you so much. We're now moving into our offertory and blessing time. We know that as we give, so do we receive. And it's through your generous giving that Unity of Charlotte continues to be a part of this community and be the light and message to the world. Please join me in our offertory blessing. Joyously, I give this gift, knowing the divine presence blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. The light of God surrounds us. We are light. The love of God enfolds us. We are love. The power of God protects us. We are power. The presence of God watches over us. We are presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.